Okay, so finally that time is upon us here on Wednesday afternoon worship for the first time in, like a billion forevers at the request of, it's gonna say a different name, but bwam! Wiffle Possum Productions, Parallax's player at Heralds of Dawn. We're cracking open Book of the Damned to talk about a deity that I know just too much about from my very first campaign. The very first plot arc in that campaign involved none other than this scary bald dude right up there, the Demon Lord Kostchtchie. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, ding that bell for all your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition coverage. Today, this episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by Wiffle Possum Productions. Thanks for your help, man. And hey, be sure to check out the man on social media for all of your character art needs. Seriously, hold up here. Boom. There's our Final Fantasy Heralds of Dawn thumbnail, all done by this man's very best. Now let's hit it. Okay, so Kostchtchie has been with us as a demon lord since the days of 3.5. He of course has his own story there, but this is a demon lord that holds a very near and dear place in my heart from my days as a wee baby Pathfinder. I guess to just immediately cut to the chase on this one, Kostchtchie was born of two elfin parents. If you don't know what that means, follow this card right up here, and you can see like the 4th video this channel put out where we talk about the lands of the Lenorm Kings. That video was one of the first we ever put out for a reason. We spent a lot of time adventuring there. As a wee baby child, Dad told wee baby Kostchtchie to murder his mother and sister, and when that wasn't enough for him, well, he did Dad in as well. After this, the taste for bloodshed only grew within Kostchtchie, but with each murder he committed, he grew more and more concerned that someday he would be the one who was murdered. So he sought out, after becoming a ferocious warlord, none other than the Witch Queen of Irisin, Baba Yaga. Yeah, we covered her on WoW a little while ago. Follow this card right up here, we'll talk all about it. And tried to confront this woman by force. One of the most powerful arcane spellcasters in the multiverse, not on Galarian, no, the universe at large, to force her to grant him immortality. Of course, Baba Yaga agreed, but she twisted his form, turning him into a hideous giant and hiding the last fragment of his mortal soul in a magical torque, which would come to be known as the Torque of Kostchtchie. More on that in a second. Seriously, I could write a book about this dude. After this went down, Kostchtchie fled to the abyss to hide his shame and nurture his hatred, eventually finding a new purpose as a patron of those frost giants who turned away from their god because they just needed more violence. This of course makes Kostchtchie pretty unusual for a demon lord, given that he was neither a Clippith nor a mortal that advanced from larva to greater demon to demon lord, because this dude never died a mortal death. The immortality that Baba Yaga passed on to him was enough for him to kind of cut the line. Over years of living in the abyss and absorbing both the essences of that plane and his slain foes, Kostchtchie turned into a demon. Of course, as you might imagine, this means many of the other demon lords regard Kostchtchie as a false lord, and true to form, Kostchtchie welcomes that envious rage. Being, less than 2 millennia old, making him incredibly young when you compare him to his peers. In the face of this, he considers himself superior to all of them, for he was once a human and ascended to power equal to their own without having to do it the hard way, and he's driven by only one thing, and that is revenge. His current goal is the destruction of Irisin. Man, we're racking up the cards. Follow this one. You'll learn all about the Baba Yaga and the recovery of the torque that contains the fragment of his mortal soul, in the hope that releasing it might reverse his deformities without removing the immortality. He also fears that whoever controls the Torque of Kostchtchie holds the key to his undoing. Not inaccurate. Again, more on that in a second. And he blames Baba Yaga for his deformities, hoping to convince her to reverse the spell, but he reckons if he can just kill her, the spell might be broken. Makes sense, right? Totally. Especially coming from, and by the way, real fast, trigger warning, blatant misogyny. As a human, Kostchtchie believed that women were good for nothing more than reproduction, As a demon, he has no need to reproduce, but his anger at Baba Yaga has stoked his age-old contempt basically into a hatred for all of womankind. Yeah, want to smash the patriarchy in Pathfinder? You can start with this dude. Now, as one might guess, the patron of frost giants with skulls in his beard, yeah, chaotic evil. His domains are chaos, evil, strength, and war, with the subdomains demon, ferocity, ice, and tactics. His favorite weapon is the warhammer, and his unholy symbol is an ice-caked, rune-carved warhammer. To perform Kostchtchie's deific obedience, you must spill the blood of a living creature onto snow-covered ground. The creature must remain alive during the entire obedience and die within 1 minute of its end. If no suitable creature is available, you can instead spend an hour contorting your body into painful forms. Over time, this will cause your body to become permanently deformed and might result in long-lasting penalties at GM discretion, but enjoy that +4 profane bonus on saves against the cold. Yeah, worth it. Totally. Evangelist boons give you frostbite thrice a day, chilled metal twice a day, or unadulterated loathing once a day. At 16th level, after you are slain, you will not rest until your killer is dragged shrieking into death with you. 1 round after your demise, your soul rises from your corpse and instantly seeks out your killer. This acts like phantasmal revenge, except that this is a necromancy effect with the death descriptor instead of its normal stuff. And at 20th level, while Kostchtchie's centuries of labor have brought him no closer to discovering the legendary torque that holds his cloven soul, he has learned much about the manner in which his soul was captured, and he gifts you with a fragment of that knowledge. Once per day, when you are the target of an attack or spell that would either kill you or render you helpless, you can target your attacker with a Trap the Soul spell as an immediate action after you resolve the effects of the attack on yourself, even if you die over the thing. Instead of a gemstone, you must be carrying a piece of jewelry, such as a bracelet, ring, or super meta, a torque of adequate value to contain the target's soul. A single piece of jewelry can only hold 1 soul, but if you are restored to life, you can release the trapped individual as a standard action, which causes the target to reappear prone in a square, stunned for 1d4 rounds. Yeah, exalted boons give you a chill touch thrice a day, bull's strength twice a day, or sleet storm once a day. At 16th level, your lord's realm is a perpetually frozen landscape, and in unholy anticipation of taking your rightful place in that land, your body has begun to adapt and change. You gain cold resistance 30 if you are immune to cold or gain immunity to cold. At a point after you gain this boon, you instead gain fire resistance 30. Real nice on like a winter wolf that has fire vulnerability. Yeah, seems good. At 20th level, regardless of your true form, you see purity and power in the hulking shape of all giants. As a reward for your faith and devotion, you have gained the ability to cast Giant Form 1 as a slaw once per day. 3 times during this ability's duration, you can cast an empowered Cone of Cold as a spell like. Yeah, not bad. Probably real good in like Reign of Winter where you're fighting a lot of cold things. Anywho, Sentinel boons give you Enlarged Person thrice a day, Bear's Endurance twice a day, or Force Punch once a day. At 16th level, your arms become longer, nearly dragging the ground when you walk, and appear to be bloated with unnatural muscle. You gain a slam attack that deals damage as appropriate for a creature 1 size category larger than yourself, so a d8 on a medium creature. If you already have 1 or more slam or claw attacks, those attacks deal damage as if you were 1 size category larger. This doesn't affect the size of manufactured weapons you can wield, but you do get a +2 untyped bonus on damage with manufactured melee weapons. And at 20th level, through the blessings of the Deathless Frost, you can swell to giant size and crush your enemies with your titanic might. Casting Giant Form 2 once a day as a slaw. While under this effect, your gear resizes, and you can use this ability to assume a huge-sized form of a giant that normally isn't huge, such as a frost giant. So you can defend your lord, because as of Bestiary 4, this dude is running around, we can fight him. At CR 26, he's not the scariest thing in Bestiary 4, but he comes real close, with a whole heck of a lot of special abilities. First off, if Kostchtchie chooses to use his hand to make a grapple check when he successfully slams and grabs a medium or smaller opponent, he takes a -20 penalty on that grapple check. On following rounds, he can attempt to maintain his grapple on the creature as a swift action. If he is successful, he can constrict the target for a d8 plus 28 points of damage, throw the creature, as like a bull rush, or use the creature as an improvised weapon. An opponent used as a weapon takes half as much damage as it deals to the creature it hits. Kinda like how Ramlock works in Doomsday Dawn. Yeah, no, this is a scary way to pass damage out in a party. Very good. If that's not good enough for you, once per round, Kostchtchie may designate any attack with his Warhammer to be a crushing blow. He must designate this attack before making the attack roll. If he hits, the blow ignores the target's hardness and DR, and allows him to make a free trip attempt against the target. The trip attempt does not provoke, can target a foe of any size, and has no chance of causing Kostchtchie to fall prone. If you're struck by that crushing blow, it's a DC 44 fort save, or you're staggered for a round. Not a success anyway. Failure, you're stunned for a round, then staggered for a D6 of rounds after. That's fair. That's fun. And now we get to the stuff that's a little less fun. I know, I think I've said this the last 20,000 Wednesday afternoon worships. It bears repeating, use with caution, session 0. Some players will not be happy about this. If they have a problem, don't use it, period. That said, against female giants or female humans, Kostchtchie's favorite enemy bonus increases to +8. Normally it's just a +4. Once per day, he can declare any one creature as a favorite enemy, but only if that creature has damaged, humiliated, or otherwise inconvenienced him or his massive ego at some point in the previous 24 hours. His favorite enemy bonuses last 24 hours. Of course, the slam attack of Kostchtchie is considered a primary attack even when he uses a weapon in his other hand. He always adds his full strength, and once per round, Kostchtchie can make an attack of opportunity against any creature that strikes him in melee combat. This AOO has a critical threat range of 18 to 20. It's also a crushing blow if it targets a female. And on that note, this is one of those deities that I don't really think I could make a homebrew anti-paladin code for. I'll leave it up to you guys at home, and I guess I'm gonna kick it out there. Baker, if you think you can do it, throw it in the comments, as you always do, my friend. Basically, the TLDR on this one is misogyny, pride, wrath, and ego, which don't really have a place at the table, at least in this one's humble opinion. I may be a little biased. I do, both in Carrion Crown and here at home in our in-person games, I game with a lot of women. I will freely admit, in my younger days, though I never donned the MAGA hat, I will say that I wasn't necessarily as the kids say it now, I suppose, woke AF as I am now. And stuff like this didn't faze me before. Now I have a little more foresight to realize that this is one of those deities that can quickly cross the line from fantasy horribleness to just pure but adulterated horribleness. But enough about that. Let's talk about how you can, take the man's soul forever. Like I said, it was a pretty major plot point in my very first campaign, as we had an Ulfin PC that all of the Ulfin raiders would be called back to Karlsgard as the Torque of Kastitikai had been found. What to do about it and how that could be turned against Baba Yaga was the early beginning, let's do some stuff of our campaign before it got all great old one-y. What can I say, that game ran for a while, I had a lot more free time, and we just kind of pressed buttons and fought great old ones. But crack open the Witch War Legacy, and you'll find a dungeon that has way too many caryatid columns. Seriously, there was, I think, 24 in a given encounter at the end there. A bunch of frost giants, and also this legendary item as your prize for completing the dungeon. This golden collar contains a piece, of course, of Kostchtchie's mortal soul, which was entrapped there by Baba Yaga. Wearing the torque, it occupies your next slot, grants you immunity to cold, and the ability to command frost giants at will. This ability functions as Dominate Monster, but it affects only the frost giants. The frost giants take a -10 on their saves. In addition, the wearer can cast Giant Form 2 thrice a day, and anyone who wears the torque for a week also gains the ability to summon an aspect of Kostchtchie's Dark Hunger once per day, taking the form of a Wendigo. Sorry, Kane, I know, those are a real big problem where you come from. Didn't really grasp that until I'd watched some Until Dawn playthroughs. Anyway, that Wendigo faithfully serves the wearer of the torque for an hour. Using the torque in this way alerts Kostchtchie to the torque's whereabouts, and in addition, anytime one of the Torque of Kastitiki's powers are used, there's a cumulative 5% chance that the wearer goes berserk and gets barbarian raged, attacking the nearest non-giant creature until it's unconscious or dead, or until no living non-giant remains within 30 feet. Boil this thing for 24 hours in the cauldron within the dancing hut of Baba Yaga and it's all done. Or, in the case of my players, my Cleric of Vildias, who have been playing in Kingmaker, really bring it all full circle. A piece of a demon lord's mortal soul is a chance at redemption, and happy to say that's what they did. After that whole campaign looking around trying to find this thing, they redeemed the dude, which was kind of endearing and not really what I'd expected. Truthfully, I think I should have expected it by then. In any case, they fought a lot of demon lords in that game, and it was real convenient to have a real reformed and redeemed demon lord, who it's hilarious to watch telekinesis dudes around the battlefield that just couldn't stand a chance against him in the first place. Because of course, we were munchkin-y enough. If you want to redeem the thing, sure, you can leadership it, at least for a little while, maybe not forever. For this encounter's fine though. Then when they go fight Pazuzu in his home realm, and then find this weapon, this legendary artifact that can only be destroyed at the hands of a redeemed demon lord, well, I will say that was the most convenient, didn't mean to do that, but will take it, accident that ever occurred to me in the history of my pathfinding career. Now, playing someone who worships Kostchtchie kind of feels like maybe a half-giant who's a little more frosty to me. Follow this card right up here also. If you'd like to see that one converted to Pathfinder, definitely a hatred of witches, but playing the character who hates women is, objectively offensive, rude, and stop it. So it's really hard to see this guy, in my mind, being anything more really than something to go fight, though I suppose he might have become an Imperial Lord had we moved a little farther down that arc in my game so long ago. Jamming for a follower of Kostchtchie probably means something along the same lines. Either a frost giant who we've rolled down to PC stats. Wonder what that looks like. Will one of my patrons please request the frost giant? I would like to see how that works, and I'm gonna just blatantly ask so we can jam it in the request line somewhere. Or, again, like a half giant or something. But again, one must tread lightly, lest they, roll back our clock 50 years.
Do a frost giant! Do it! Do a half frost giant! Come on! Do it!
But that is all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have we fought, worshipped, done anything with Kostchtchie in our games? If so, down there is where you can tell us all about it. And be sure to like and subscribe for more coverage. We've got a homebrew coming up next week. Next week, it's the Imperial Lord Benaris. See you then.